all see the video of what happened between the French president Macron and his wife at the open door of a plane in Vietnam this week?
I could talk about this for 1 year.
I know,
That's all I've been thinking about.
If you didn't, cameras were focused on Macron. He landed in Hanoi and they were focused on the door of the plane. You've seen these shots a million times, like head of state walks off plane, walks downstairs, right? But in the split second between, the door opening and Macron stepping into what was supposed to be the camera frame, you see these two hands in this red-pink coat. Well, you don't know it's a coat then, but spoiler alert, it's a coat. Two hands in this red-pink coat, like pushing him right in the face.
In the face.
Very shocking, very quick, very sudden. And then you see Macron gathering himself quite quickly.
When he realises that the plane door's open.
Yep. And like doing his royal wave and walking down the stairs.
What it looked like was that he was shocked at what had happened. He was engaging with that situation. And then there's a moment, and I'm projecting this, I wasn't there, but it's as though he looks to see if the cameras are on him and he kind of clocks it and goes, I've got to acknowledge the cameras.
Then, of course, his wife, Brigitte, walks down the stairs behind him wearing the coat. So we know that the hands were hers. This footage spun around the world in seconds, and it took about 24 hours, I think, for the president to work out how to respond. At first, the line was fake news, didn't happen. But by today, it was a joke. Macron said, "My wife and I were squabbling. We were rather joking, and I was taken by surprise. It's become a kind of planetary catastrophe, and some are even coming up with theories." Have you two seen these theories? And what do we think is an appropriate response to something like this being caught on camera? Because I can't think of very many examples of it happening before.
Well, imagine if the genders had been reversed. It would have been a very different story for a lot of very understandable reasons. So I don't think you can always apply that equivalency. But I think we have no choice but to take him at his word. I mean, what can you do if he says that? We can't say it was something other than what he says it was, which is just mucking around.
And can we say what we think we saw? Because it looks pretty damning. I went and watched it, and as always happens, you get the commentary before you watch it. But it does look damning. It looks as though...
It doesn't look like joking around.
It doesn't look like joking around, does it?
The other thing that complicates it, right, is that there's a big corner of the internet who hate Macron and constantly spread theories about him and his wife, right? Because he and his wife have, I think we can say, unconventional history, right? Who wants to fill us in?
Remind me.
She is 72 and Macron is 47. Exactly how it all went down, we don't know, but we do know that they met when he was 15 and she was 39.
Here's what we do know.
Wait, was she his teacher?
Yes. So she had 3 children and was married when she met Emmanuel Macron, who was 15 and in her daughter's class. And Emmanuel Macron's parents thought that he was seeing the daughter, that there was a relationship going on. And then they've spoken in this book where they then found out that it wasn't, that he was seeing this woman who
of his classmate,
the mother of his classmate, and she has said basically when things started and when their relationship started and when they knew it was special is not for anyone else to know. They haven't shared that.
It's very Mary Kay Letourneau and Vili Falau. Remember, I mean, he was 12, but she was, I think, his teacher or worked at his school or something, and she ended up going to jail and had children with him, and they ended up, after she got released from jail, they got married.
So I was thinking about the age gap is similar to if Anthony Albanese had a wife who was my age, right? That's probably like a similar age gap. And age gaps, whatever. I think that the part about this story that troubles people is how old they were when they met.
Yeah.
That's the bit that troubles people.
They have been together for decades and decades now, though, right? The people who are very invested in the conspiracy theories, because they are always everywhere, they also like to spread the rumour that she is transgender, which appears to be entirely false. They like to spread rumours like the fact that they say he was doing coke on a train earlier this year. Did you see that? Where there was a video of him on a train with the German Chancellor and the UK Prime Minister, and he was picking up a tissue. But there's a large section of the internet who believes it was a bag of white powder. Broadly, they like to paint him as a sort of short, inauthentic, girly man, like in direct contrast to, say, a tall alpha like one Donald Trump. And the theory of why these conspiracy theories go so fast is broadly because of his very strong support of Ukraine and criticism of Russia, right? So there are lots of people on the internet who love to spin a Macron theory. And that's why, if you've seen memes and videos of this go around fast, a lot of them say things like, girly man gets slapped. And, they love it.
Right.
Because the problem with this...
So it's the Russian bot farms.
And it is. And that's what he has said.
It's the Russian bot farms. But the problem is... this video is real, so it doesn't help the conspiracy theories, which I'm not suggesting any of them are true at all, but this is one of those situations where something happens that falls deliciously almost into the hands of the people who want to believe these things about him anyway.
But isn't this not a conspiracy, all those conspiracy theories, that's not what this relates to. Like the worst reading of this is that it was DV. And that it's somehow an abusive relationship. Now, we don't know what happened just before the door opened, and also what he said might be true. They might have just been mucking around. Who knows?
The way, and he has said in his statement, and I actually really respect this position, is he came out and said that video is real. He could have said it was fake. If it was Donald Trump, he'd have said it was fake.
He would have done deny.
Yeah, but he's gone, that was real. And the video where you thought I was doing cocaine is real. It was actually a tissue. And I have detractors who are really uncomfortable with my relationship with Zelensky and my support of Ukraine. And this is the internet going into overdrive. But the way that it has now been narrativized or positioned is saying this is humiliating for France. Look how weak France is.
Yes.
France is emasculated.
That's what all of this is about, right? It's not what that video was about, but all of the conspiracy theory stuff is about that. It's about emasculating him, which is the narrative about this bossy older wife who maybe not abuses him and is possibly even not even who she says she is, and all of these things, and look how weak and pathetic France is. The problem is this video being real really doesn't help any of that stuff, and he is going to be in real trouble.
Which tells us something about how we view men who experience violence at the hands of their female partners, which is that it has been made fun of, it has been undermined, it has been an example of how he's not man enough. There's no way that the undercurrent of making fun of him would exist if this were the other way around, which I think is really sad and troubling.